guys, Joshua Neal here, and today, by request, we're taking a look at Possibilities of an Impossible Existence by Whitechapel. Remember, if you enjoy the lesson, please click like. You can also leave me a comment or a request of your own. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any future updates, and as always, be sure to grab that riff by riff note and tab transcription downstairs so you can follow along at home. Alright, let's get to it. So before we get started, we'll need to tune our bass. Whitechapel is playing in drop G on this recording, which means if you're on a 4-string bass like me, I took a look at a couple of the music videos and the live videos that they've done for this song, and the bass player is playing on a 4-string, so I decided to use that for this one. If you're on a 4-string, you're going to need to take all of your strings down pretty far. The E string is going to come all the way down to a G. Your A string is going to come down to a D. Your D string is going to come down to another G. And your G string is going to come all the way down to a C. So again, we've got G, D, G, and C. If you're on a 5-string, you won't have to tune down quite as far. You'll take all of your strings down a full step, and then you'll drop the low B string another step. So on a 5-string, you would end up with G, D, G, C, and then F for the top string. If you are going to do it on a 4-string, you may find that you need to raise up your action in order to get this tuning to come out clearly. I tend to keep my action pretty low, and I did actually have to raise these strings up about a turn and a half in order to keep it from being incredibly loose, and it's still pretty loose. And there's no way around that without switching up to some heavier gauge strings. If you're going to be playing in this tuning all the time, I would definitely restring your bass with heavy gauge strings and set the bass up to take the tuning. But if it's once in a while you're just playing a song here and there, you can get away with not setting up the bass when you tune it down. And again, I'm using a pick on this song because that's what the guy in Whitechapel uses. This song's not so quick, so if you wanted to use your fingers on it, you should be just fine. But again, using a 4-string with a pick, if you want to use a 4 or a 5 with your fingers or a pick, it's going to be just fine, whatever works for you. So let's get into the main riff. This is number 1. I've got it notated around 82 beats per minute because that's where the groove is sitting. So we're going to have a lot of 16th notes, but again, since we're about 82, not that fast, so it's not as difficult as it looks on paper. So let's take a look at this first riff, which is going to be that's the main part of the first riff. We're going to see this a lot throughout the song. So that starts on the 5th fret of the A. I'm going to call the strings as if we were still in standard tuning, just to keep things straight. So I'm on the 5th fret of the A string. If you're on a 5-string, it's going to be the 5th fret of the E string. Just whatever string I mentioned, you're going to want to take it 1 string lower. So 5th fret on the A string, right down to the open E, or the open low string. And then back up to the 5th fret of the A string. And in time, that's going to be 16th to 8th to 16th, 1 E, Then we're up to the 8th fret on the A string, then down to the 5th fret, 2 even 8th notes there, then 6th fret of the A string, and this is going to be a dotted 8th, going to take up 3 16th notes, back to the 5th fret, taking up again 3 16th notes, the same length as a dotted 8th, and then we've got a 6th fret to 5th fret, still on the A string. And I tend to do this one as a pull-off just to keep it smooth. If you want to re-attack it like that, that is fine, but breaking down the rhythm in the first bar of number 1, nice and slow, it would be 1 E, 2 and 3 and then we get into this first ending, which is also going to be the third ending. So the first time and the third time through this riff, you're going to take this ending. From that 5th fret of the A string that we just ended on, we're going to go down to the 5th fret of the E string. Then up to the 5th fret of the A string again. Then we've got that 6-5 pull off. And then we're going to have the exact same rhythm that we did in the first half, but we're going to go to the 4th fret of the E string. So 4, then up to 5th fret of the A, and then, actually it's the reverse of the rhythm, it's my mistake. We'll have that 5th fret there, then we're going to do the 6-5 pull off, and then catch the 3rd fret on the A string, and that'll wrap up the first part of the riff. So that first ending, which is also the third ending, is 5, 5, 6, 5, 4, 5, 6, 5, 3. Or if we're counting out the beats, 1 and 3, 4 E and. Just like that, we'd go back to the top and do the main part of the riff again. Then we're going to have the second ending. Rhythmically, the second ending is the same as the first and the third ending, just the notes that you go to on the low string are going to be different. So instead of starting on the 5th fret, we're actually going to start on the 8th fret of the low string here. But then we'll have 5, and then that 6-5 pull off again. And then instead of 4th fret, we're going to have 6th fret. And we'll have that 5, 6-5 pull off to 3rd fret again. So that second ending is 8, 5, 6, 5, 6 on the low string, 5, 6, 5, 3, or counting it out, 1 and 3, 4 E and. You'd go back to the top, you'd play the main riff again, take the first and third ending, so it's going to be the same as we did through the first time, starting on the 5th fret of the low string to the 4th. We're back up to the top, and then the 4th ending, getting us out of this riff, we're going to go to the 8th fret of the low string for 2 beats, 1, 2, and then to the 6th fret for another 2 beats, 3, 4. So that entire riff number 1, I'll play that through a little slower and I'll call it out. Starting at the top. 5th fret on the low string, 4th fret, back to the top. Second ending, 8 on the low string, 6, back to top. Third ending, same as the first, 4th fret, back to the top. 4th ending, 8th fret, and 6th fret, and that goes right into riff number 2, the main breakdowny section. And it is it's a nice repeating pattern. Once you get a hold of the pattern, even though it's a little off kilter, the way that it crosses the bar is not the way that you might think it would. Once you get the pattern under your belt, it's really not terribly difficult. And we're going to see this particular rhythm repeated throughout the main parts of the song. So in time, a little bit slower, riff number 2 would be. And back to the beginning of that. So the repeating pattern we're seeing is, again, if we think of it in terms of a collection of 16th notes rather than 16th to 8th to 16th to 8th to 16th to 2/16ths tied together, 16th to 8th. An easier way that we can get our heads around it initially would be to think of it as component groups of 16th notes to subdivide. So the repeating pattern that we're going to have over and over again is 1/16th note to 2/16th notes, at least until the very end, until we have to clean it up. So starting on the 5th fret of the A string, we're going to have that as a 1/16th note. Then we're going to go down to the open low string for an 8th note, the equivalent of 2/16th notes. And this is going to repeat all the way through just this rhythmic pattern on this low string until we get to the very end. So breaking it down in terms of the 16th notes here, it would be 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2. And then to finish it up there, it'll be the 5th fret again on the A string for just a 16th note, and then back down to the open low string again for a 16th note. And I will try to, I'll go through that again doing the 1, 1, 2 count offs, and I'll try to indicate where the second bar begins, and then I'll go through it actually counting it with vocalizing the beats. So from the top of number 2 again, it would be 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, 2. Totally botched it. Let me try that again. 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1. Back to the top. If I was to count it out, vocalizing it, it would be 1 E, 2 and E and 4 E, 1 and E and 3 E, 4 and and you're back into it. Now we got 2 little variations on this riff for right now. There's an additional one later in the song, which we'll get to in a minute. This is riff number 2A in the transcription. Rhythmically, it's very, very similar to riff number 2, but we have some additional notes. Instead of starting on the 5th fret of the A string, we're actually going to start on the 8th fret of the A string. But rhythmically, it's going to be the same. 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, at least for the beginning. 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2. From here, we're going to go to the 7th fret of the A string, and then quick to the 4th fret of the A string, and we're going to keep that 1, 1, 2 pattern going. So if I was to count it out with the 1, 1, 2s again, it would be 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1. And then instead of continuing to do the 1, 1, 2 pattern across the bar line, it actually cuts because we're going to start that pattern over again. Or rather, we're going to start a different pattern. And that pattern is going to start on the 5th fret of the A string. This is the second measure of riff number 2A. Starting on the 5th fret, going down to the open string, and it's going to be 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2. To the 7th fret, back to the 4th fret again. So we've got 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2. And this is where it changes. Instead of continuing the 1, 1, 2 pattern, we're actually going to get off of that. So starting from the beginning again, we got 5th fret, starting from the beginning of that measure rather, we got 5th fret, open for 2, open for 1, open for 2, 7th fret of the A string for 1, 4th fret for 2, then 4th fret again, also for 2, to an open A string for 1, to the 1st fret of the A string for 2, and then we have a little hammer-on, a 2 16th notes hammer-on. That'll be open to 1. So putting all of that together, the riff number 2A from the beginning, I'll break it down a couple different ways. Starting with the frets. 8 open, 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 7 4, 4 4, 4 4, 4 5 open, 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 7 4 4, 0 1, 0 1. If I was to break it down with the 1 1 2s that we've been doing, it would be 1 1 2 1 1 2 1 1 2 1 1 2 1 1 2 1 1 1 2 1 1 2 1 1 2 1 2 1 1 2 1 1. So a little faster in time would be. And from here we go right into riff number. First time we're going to go right into riff number 2 again, but the final, and they're both going to start in the same place, but the final permutation of this riff, which is number 2B, is going to be the one that we do right before the chorus. And that again starts on the 5th fret. So we're going to have this very quick slide from the end of 2A up to the 5th fret of the A string. And riff number 2B, a little slower in time, is going to be. So breaking that down into its component parts, it's very, very similar to riff number 2 or riff number 2A. The only thing that changes is that ending. So again, we're going to start on the 5th fret of the A string, and then we're going to hop down to the open low string, and we're going to do that alternating 1 1 2 pattern. 1 1 2 1 1 2 1 1 2 1 1 2 1 1 2 1 1 2 1 1 2 1 1 2, and that's where it changes. So we're right on beat 3 of the 2nd measure. We're going to go to the 5th fret of the low string, and we're going to have 2 16th note triplets in a row. So that'll be, if you're not fully comfortable with triplets or fully aware of triplets, triplets are where we divide the beat into 3 equal parts rather than 2 equal parts. And at this lower speed, since we're kind of feeling it in, we're feeling things in halftime, it's gonna, these quicker rhythms tend to come up. But these 2 16th note triplets, you could think of, if you wanted to think of them twice as fast, you could think of them as 2 8th note triplets, and then think of the upcoming 8th note triplet as a quarter note triplet, since that's how it ends up feeling anyway at this slower speed. But the triplet on the 3rd beat, the 5th fret, the 16th note triplets would be triplet, triplet, or 1 and a, E and a, 1 and a, that goes right down to the 1st fret, and we're going to have an 8th note triplet, which is going to kind of feel like a quarter note, one of those drag triplets. Triplet. So putting all of that together would be, starting on the 5th fret, this is riff number 2B, 1 and, or rather I'll do the 1 2 count, since that's what we've been sticking with. 1 1 2 1 1 2 1 1 2 1 1 2 1 1 2 1 1 2 1 1 2 1 1 2 triplet, triplet, triplet. And in order to keep these straight, the beats of the 8th note triplet are going to be twice as long. The individual beats of the 8th note triplet are going to be twice as long as the 16th note triplet. So what I'm doing is I'm alternate picking the 16th note triplet, and then I'm keeping that particular rhythm going, but I'm hitting only the downstrokes when I get to that 8th note triplet. So I'll slow it down a little bit so that you can see it. This is starting right on that 5th fret, 16th note triplet. 8th note triplet. And I'll do that again. I'm going to really exaggerate those upstrokes in the eighth note triplet so you can see it. And. Super exaggerated there, but they end up just being twice as long as the individual beats of the 16th note triplets. So that's a great way to keep it straight. That riff, 2B, one more time. I'm going to play it a little bit faster. And that goes right into riff number 3. This is the chorus riff, or this is the first chorus riff. The second one's going to be slightly different. We'll talk about that in a minute. It can be a little confusing to hear because the kick drum is doing constant triplets, but the rhythm guitars and the bass are actually doing even eighth notes. So we get this cool 2 against 3 kind of feel. And so this is actually one of the easier parts of the song. I'm going to show you the way that I'm hearing it on the recording, and then also show you the way that I've seen Gabe Chris play it live. He does a little bit with it. I'll show you both ways, and you can decide which one you would prefer to do. So starting at number 3, I've doubled up the tempo so that we don't have to deal with long measures of 16th notes or get into 32nd notes. We can deal with 8th notes. So the speed hasn't changed, just where we're feeling the beat has changed. We're going to start on the 5th fret of the A string, and we're going to have a full 3 bars of even 8th notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 3 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... From here, we're going to go down to the 7th fret on the low E string, and we're going to have a full bar of even 8th notes there. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... Then we're going to go to the 3rd fret on the low string, and we're going to have 2.5 or 2 3/4 bars of even 8th notes here. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 3 and 2 and 3 and 4. That's where it changes on that 4th beat of the 7th bar of the riff. We're going to hit that 3rd fret, and we're going to slide up to the 10th fret of the low string, and we're going to hit just straight quarter notes for this first ending. So from the bar right before the first ending, it would be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we would hop right back to the 5th fret to start the riff over. The only difference between the first and the second ending is instead of straight quarter notes, we're going to do 2 half notes in a row. So starting from the bar before the endings, the bar before the first ending, but I'm going to go into the second ending this time. It would be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, on the recording, this is what I'm hearing, is just these single notes. But if you watch Gabe Chris play it live, what he tends to do, just to really, really fatten it up, also this was the last song of their set when they were touring this particular record. They wanted it to just be big and monstrous and, you know, leave the impression that they had rocked your faces. So what Gabe Chris would tend to do is actually play double stops. He would actually play octaves on the bass in this exact same rhythm, same notes. He would just add an octave above, sometimes below. So if you wanted to do that when you're playing this song, you can. So for the first note, the 5th fret on the A string, if you want to thicken this up, you can actually add the open low string underneath it. So instead of playing this, you're actually going to play this. And it is going to get really, really muddy and washy, and it's just a complete wall of noise. But especially if you're playing this live and you really want people to feel it, this is a great way to do it. So for that 5th fret on the A string, we're going to add the low open string. When we get to the 7th fret of the low string, since we're in a drop tuning, the octave is going to be 2 strings above us on the same fret. So I'm going to do my second and my third finger for this. If you want to do your first and your second finger, that's also fine. If you want to do second and fourth, whatever works for you. But whatever finger is on the lowest string, you want it to lay down a little bit and actually touch the A string between them, because you don't want to hear that string ringing out when you're playing this. So on the 7th fret, the individual notes, you should be hearing... You want that A string to be dead. And if you want, you can even rest one of your other fingers, your first finger, your pinky or something, on the high string, so that you can just strum everything and you'll only get the 2 strings that you're actually touching. Except you don't want to get that harmonic in there. For that, when we go to the 3rd fret, we're going to add that octave above again. So just 2 strings up, same fret. You want to lay your finger that's on the lowest string down a bit and mute the A string. Like that. And then when we go up to the 10th fret, it's going to be 10th fret on the low string, 10th fret on the D string. Again, same octave shape. This rhythm all the way through, or this riff all the way through with those double stops would be... and then back into it. If you're recording this, I definitely would go with the single notes, and EQ and mixing can fatten it up. But if you're playing this live, if you're covering it with your band, and you really want to put the hurt on everybody, you got a big cabinet, you're going through the big PA, and you really want people to feel the bass, this is a great way to thicken it up. But again, either way you want to go, whatever works for you. And this is going to be true in the 2nd chorus riff. We can do the same thing. We'll talk about that when we get there. So for now, let's move on to riff number 4. And this is going to be the coming out of the first chorus, getting into the next verse. The only difference between riff number 4 and the beginning of it is the first part of it. So that's why I've actually also called this riff 1B, because it's an alternate to it. So this one is going to start... The guitar plays the exact same thing. The bass just lays out for a lot of it. It's going to start on the 5th fret of the A string, and then real quick down to the low string, open low string, and it's just 1 8, just 2 16th notes in a row, and just get off it, cut it off immediately. And you're going to rest for the rest of that bar and the first 2 3/4 beats of the next bar. You're going to come back in on the 5th fret of the A string, and then you'll have that 6 to 5 pull off we saw before, and then to the 3rd fret of the A string again. So in time, that first part of riff number 4 would be 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 and then everything else after that is the same, except you would proceed directly to the 2nd ending. So what I've done is just notated it out as the riff happens. So you notice we only have 3 endings in this riff rather than 4 endings, because it's self-contained. So let's move on to riff number 5, and this is the very top of the 2nd verse, and we have these big hits that the bass is doing with the drums, and it's the same main riff that we saw in number 2. So which is why I've called this. You can also call this 2C if you want to think of it that way. It's the same main riff. We're just leaving out some of the hits. We're going to again start on the 5th fret of the A string down to the open low string, and we're going to have that 1 1 2 alternation, but we're going to only get to a 1 2 and then 1 and 2 this time before we cut it off. So 1 1 2 1 1 2. we cut it, and right there. 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2. We're going to rest for beat 3, then we're going to come back in with another 1, 2, 1, 2, starting on beat 4. Then we're going to rest for another beat, and then we're going to come back in with another 1, 1, 2, and then we're going to have that 5 to open that we usually have at the end of the riff just to wrap it up and get us back into the top. So number 5 from the top, a little slower, would be 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, rest, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, rest, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2. A little faster without as much of the counting, it would be and. Rest, rest, and back into the top. That 5th fret was the top of it. The rest of the riff that you're seeing in there is, this is where it's just the bass, the drums, and the vocals. The guitars lay out for a little while. And the big reason this is in here is there's a slight variation in the bass part that I can only hear in this particular section. Otherwise, he's constantly grinding away on the low open string. But this one, because he's alone, he's got some extra octaves just to add some interest. So we're going to again start on the 5th fret of the A string down to the open low string, and we're going to have that 1, 1, 2, the 1, 1, 2 alternation. The rhythm of this second half of number 5 is going to be the same as riff number 2. It just, we have these 2 octave leaps that we're going to need to put in. So starting from the beginning of that second section of number 5, it's 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2. And then this is where it changes. Right on beat 4, we're going to grab the 5th fret of the A string for a 1, then the open low string for a 2, and then the 5th fret of the A string again for another 1. So that first bar of that second half, this is measure 28 in the transcription. Starting on that 5th fret, it's 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1. Those octave leaps. The rest of the riff, that second bar, is going to be the same as it was in riff number 2. So putting that second half all together in time, starting at bar 28 of the transcription, it'll be 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1. So let's quickly look at riff number 6. We can also think of this as 3A. This is the second chorus of the song, and the reason this is in here is the only reason this is in here is the very end of the chorus is different than the end of the first chorus. So just to prevent any confusion, I've made it its own separate section. It's still going to start on the 5th fret of the A string, and if you want, you can do that open low string with the 5th fret, that big double stop to really fatten it up. But we're going to have 3 bars of the 5th fret again. 2, 3, 1 of the 7th fret, down to 3. So that first part is the same. We do this 3rd fret, slide up to the 10th fret, and we hit 4 quarter notes. We go back to the 5th fret, we have 3 bars, 2, 3, 1 on the 7, to the 3, 2, 3. And then when we do that 3rd fret slide up to the 10th fret, instead of doing the half notes through it like we did in the first chorus, we're just going to catch right on beat 1. 4, 1. And that's that break in there where there's the big vocal scream, and we get into the ending breakdown, which we're going to look at right now. This is riff number 7 in the transcription. I've switched the time signature to 12/8, which means that instead of dividing the beat into, just like triplets, this is essentially triplet time. It's called compound time. and it's whenever we divide the beat into 3 equal parts rather than 2 equal parts. So 12/8 is essentially, put very simply, it's 4/4 with triplets. It's going to be 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, but that gets kind of clunky, so I go 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a, as opposed to simple 4/4 time would be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So let's look at riff number 7. The tempo hasn't changed, it's just the beat unit changed. The beat unit becomes a dotted quarter rather than a quarter, so it's dotted quarter equals 164. Yeah, for the most part, you're not going to need to worry about that right now because I'm going to break down everything for you, no pun intended. This is mostly going to be on the low open string, the E string or the B string if you're playing this on a 5 string. And we're going to start with 2 triplets in a row. Be 1 and 2 and then we're going to have a quarter note followed by an eighth tied to an eighth. So those are going to be exactly the same length. 3 and 4, and then 2 eighth notes to clean it up. And so that first measure is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and I tend to just straight alternate pick through my triplets so that every other beat starts with a different pick. Down, up, down, up. And I find it works really well for this riff if you do this straight up alternate picking. Even if you have to do a couple ups in a row, it makes it very easy to keep the rhythm straight and keep your hand going. So that was the first measure. Let's take a look at the second measure. We've got an eighth note to a quarter note to another quarter note to an eighth note. So it's going to be 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and So I tend to do those in a as ups. I imagine that I'm still alternate picking all the way through it. So it actually ends up going down, up, up, up for the first half, the eighth, quarter, quarter, eighth that we have. Then we go into a quarter to 2 eighths tied together to 2 eighth notes after that, which is exactly the same as the second half of the first bar. 3 and 4 and or 3 and 4 and So that second measure altogether is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and So those 2 measures together, and we're going to see this kind of rhythm, or we're going to come back to this a lot because we actually play through this this first part of the riff 4 times. The first 2 measures are going to be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and Third measure are going to be exactly the same as the first measure. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then the first and the third ending, we can actually divide that bar in half because each half is the same. Each half is going to go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and so it's going to be down, up, 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 down, up, up, up if you're doing the alternate picking. This one goes by slow enough that if you want to do it as all downs, but I prefer to do the alternate picking on this stuff. So it's the first 2 beats are going to be on the low open string, 1 and 2 and then the third beat or the second half is going to start on the low open string. The rest is going to be first fret, 1 and 2 and that would take us back to the top. The second ending, the second time you get to the end of it, we're going to have that same kind of rhythm, that down, up, 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 except we're going to start on the low open string and then go to the third fret of the low string, and we'll have up, up, up on that, and then we're going to go back to the open low string real quick, and we'll have an up, up on the first fret. So that second ending, somewhat in time, is 1 and 2, 3 and 4. That would go back to the top. You would take the first and third ending again, this being the third time. That one, and then the fourth ending to start to wrap it up. It's going to be almost identical to the second ending. We just have one extra hit on the end of the bar. It ends up looking more like the first and third ending rhythmically. We take the notes from the second ending and fit them into the rhythms of the first and third ending. So that fourth ending is again going to start with an open 3, 3, 3, and then a quick open 1, 1, 1. So in time, again, somewhat in time, it would be 1 and 2, 3 and 4. And then real quick, we do the first measure of number 7 again, and this is just to wrap it up. 1 and a 2 and a 3 and 4, or 1 and a 2 and a 3 and. So I'm going to play riff number 7 nice and slow all the way through with all the endings just so you can get a handle on that. I'll try to call out what's happening as I do it. From the top of number 7, and... First ending, top. Second ending, top. Third ending, top. Fourth ending, and finishing. And that's it. There it is, guys. Hope you enjoyed the lesson. If you did, be sure to click like and let me know. You can also leave me a comment in the comments section or a request if you have one of your own. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already so you don't miss any future updates. And if you haven't done it yet, be sure to grab that riff by riff transcription so that you can practice this at home. And until next time,